A young woman crashes her car on a dark, lonely road in rural New Hampshire. A passing witness sees her standing beside the vehicle, shaken but alive. He speaks to her, offers help. She refuses. He drives away and calls the police. And within minutes, officers arrive, but the old woman is gone. Not hiding nearby, now walking down the road. Gone. No footprints disappearing into the snow, no sign she ran into the woods, no evidence anyone forced her to a car, just an abandoned vehicle, its lights cold in the winter dark. And the silence that has lasted more than 20 years. What happened in those missing minutes has become one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries. Because people do not simply vanish, especially not in a matter of minutes, and yet Maura Murray did. A 21-year-old college student, gone from the side of a crashed car before police could even reach her. No ransom, no confirmed sighting, no answers, only theories, and one terrifying question that still lingers on the road: what happened to Maura Murray? Tonight we follow the clues. The strange behavior, the final drive, and the disappearance that turned into a mystery no one has been able to solve. Because they found her car, but they never found her. And once you hear what happened next, you may never forget this case. Before Maura Murray became a mystery, she was a young woman with a future, 21 years old, a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Bright, driven, disciplined, she had once attended the United States Military Academy at West Point. Not an easy place to get into, and not an easy place to live. People who knew Maura often described her as intelligent, independent, and tough. She was also an accomplished runner, competitive, focused, the kind of person who pushed herself hard. From the outside, her life looked promising, like it was moving somewhere. But sometimes the biggest storms are the one nobody sees. Because in the days before Maura vanished, cracks were starting to show. There was pressure, personal stress, trouble that seemed to be building quietly. Some say she appeared overwhelmed, distracted, not like herself. And then there was the car crash. Just days before she disappears, Maura had wrecked her father's car in the early hours of the morning. A strange accident. One more unsettling piece in a growing puzzle. And then come February 9th, 2004, the day everything changed. That morning, Maura sent emails to professors. She said there had been a death in the family. She needed a week away. But there had been no death. The story was false. Why would she invent that? Was she covering up a secret trip, trying to disappear for a few days, running from something, or preparing for something much bigger? No one knew. And that is where the mystery begins, because after sending those emails, Maura packed her car, left campus, and drove away without telling friends exactly where she was going. No one knew this would be the last time she would be seen. And looking back, that lie about a death in the family feels chilling. Because in a way, it was almost like she was writing her own disappearance before it happened. Why did she leave? What was she planning? And was Maura Murray trying to escape something before she vanished herself? Those questions become the first layer of a mystery that only got darker. That afternoon, Maura began packing her black Saturn. Not like someone heading to class, not like someone going out for the evening, like someone leaving. She loaded clothes into the car, school books, toiletry, a few personal things, alcohol she had purchased earlier, and printed MapQuest direction. Back then, before smartphones, that meant planning. It meant she had a destination in mind, somewhere she meant to go. But where? No one knows for certain. That mystery began before she ever reached that road, because Maura didn't tell friends exactly where she was going. She didn't leave behind a clear explanation. No notes, no confession, no goodbye. just silence and a drive north. Some believe she wanted to get away for a few days, to clear her mind, to disappear just briefly. Others believe she was running from stress, from mistakes, maybe from something she couldn't explain or someone she feared. And that possibility has haunted this case from the beginning. As daylight started fading, Maura drove north into New Hampshire, into the White Mountains, a place of deep woods, insulated roads, and winter darkness. The kind of place where headlights vanish fast, the kind of place where help can feel far away. Hour after hour, she kept driving toward snow-covered roads, toward the lonely stretch of Route 112, toward the sharp bend local knew well, and toward the last confirmed place anyone would ever see her, because somewhere on that road, the story stopped being about a troubled college student taking a trip and becomes something far stranger, because what happened next would make Maura Murray one of America's most haunting disappearances, and it began with a crash. It was around 7:27 that evening, dark, cold, quiet. Then a sound broke that silence. A thud. Local residents heard it from nearby. When people looked out, they saw a car off the road. Maura's black Saturn had crashed into a snowbank. Its position was strange, facing the wrong direction. Damaged still. Hazard lights flashing in the darkness. A small wreck on a road that suddenly felt much darker than a witness arrived. A school bus driver returning home. He stopped. Saw a young woman beside the car, shaken but standing, alive. He asked if she needed help, asked if she could call the police. She refused. Calmly, almost too calmly, she reportedly said she had already called roadside assistance. But there was a problem. Cell service in that area was poor, and many have long questioned whether she could have made any call at all. Was she trying to avoid police, afraid of getting in trouble after that crash, or hiding something bigger? No one knows. The bus driver left, but something felt off, so he contacted police anyway. And this is where the case turned into something almost impossible. Because by the time the officers arrived, roughly minutes later, the young woman beside the Saturn was gone. Gone, not walking down the road, not waiting nearby, not sitting in another passing vehicle anyone saw. Gone, vanished into winter darkness, as if the road itself had swallowed her. Think about that. A witness sees her alive. Police arrive shortly after, and in that tiny window, those missing minutes, Maura Murray disappears forever. That gap, those few unexplained moments, may hold the answer to everything. Did she run into the woods? Did someone stop and pick her? Did something happen in those dark minutes no one witnessed? That is the question investigators have chased for decades, because the crash wasn't the end of Maura Murray's story. It was where the mystery truly began. Think about that. 10 minutes, maybe less. That may be all it took for a young woman standing beside a wrecked car to become one of America's greatest unsolved mystery. 10 minutes. That's the window. The space between a witness seeing Maura alive and police arriving to find nothing. No Maura, no movement on the road, no obvious trace, just silence. And that's what makes this case so unsettling, because disappearances usually leave a trail. A scream, a witness, a mistake, something. But here, almost nothing. No one reported seeing her walk away. No one saw another car stop and picked her. No one reported a struggle. No one heard cries for help in the dark. It was as if she stepped out of reality and vanished. When search team later combed the area, they looked for footprints leading into deep snow, a trail into the woods, any sign she had fled on foot. But investigators found no clear path showing she had wandered off into the wilderness. No obvious footprints disappearing into the tree. Nothing that cleanly explained where she went. And that made the mystery even darker, because if she didn't walk into those woods, then where did she go? Did she leave the scene voluntarily? Did she get into someone's vehicle? Did something happen in those missing minutes no one ever saw? The question has consumed investigators, journalists, and ordinary people for decades, because people do not simply evaporate. And yet Maura Murray seemed to. A young woman stands by a crashed car. Minutes later, she's gone forever. And the deeper you look at those 10 minutes, the stranger they become. Because sometimes a mystery doesn't begin with what happened. It begins with what should have happened, but didn't. And then investigators looked inside the car, and what they found raised even more questions. Inside Maura's Saturn, there were clues, but they didn't give answers. They gave contradiction. Piece of puzzle that seemed to point in different directions. Her belongings were still there. The car sat abandoned, as if someone had stepped away, expecting to come back, but she never did. And then investigators noticed something strange. A rag stuffed into the tailpipe. It sounds small, but in this case, small details become obsessions. Why was it there? What did it mean? Maura's father later said she had once been advised to put a rag in the tailpipe of the old Saturn to reduce smoke. A practical explanation. Simple, ordinary. But in a case like this, ordinary things stop looking ordinary, because others saw something else. A symbol, a clue. Some even wondered if it suggested stagging. As if something about the scene wasn't what it seemed. And then come another mystery. Not what was in the car, but what wasn't. Maura's black backpack, missing, never recovered, gone. And that detail mattered, because if she took it, maybe she intended to leave the crash scene on foot. Maybe she planned to keep moving. Maybe she expected to survive whatever come next. But if she left with the backpack, where did it go? And if she didn't take it willingly, who did? Did someone pick her up? Did she carry that bag into the dark woods? Or did the backpack disappear the same way Maura did? Even decades later, that missing backpack remains one of the most haunting clues in the case. Because sometimes what vanished speaks louder than what remains. And the deeper investigators look at the car, the more unsettling the mystery became. Because instead of telling them what happened, the clues seem to whisper something is missing, something important, and maybe someone else was there. By morning, the search had begun, and it was massive. State police flooded the area. Search dogs were brought in. Helicopters scanned the frozen landscape from above. Volunteers moved through snow-covered woods. Roads were checked. Trails were searched. Every possibility was chased, because at first, many believed Maura had simply run into the wilderness after the crash. Maybe panicked, maybe injured, maybe hiding. But the more they searched, the stranger it became, because they found nothing. And then come one of the most debated details in the entire case: the scent trail. Tracking dog reportedly picked up Maura's scent, following it away from the crash scene for roughly 100 yards. Then it stopped, just stopped, as if she vanished right there, as if she climbed into a vehicle, as if someone picked her up, or as if the trail and the truth ended on that roadside. That detail has haunted this case for years, because if her scent ended in the road, what does that mean? Did she get into a passing car? Did someone offer help? Did she trust the wrong person for just one moment? Or was the scent trail itself misleading? Even that remains debated, but what searchers didn't find may be even stranger. No body, no clothing, no backpack, no clear evidence she died in those woods, nothing. And every failed search made the mystery darker, because if she froze nearby, Where are her remains? How can such extensive searches turn up so little? People get lost in wilderness. They are found. Maybe not quickly, but found. And yet Maura Murray seemed to leave almost nothing behind. That absence became its own clue. And with every search, that ended empty. The theory grew darker because if the woods did not take her, maybe something else did. And that is where this mystery splits into possibilities. 3 theories, 3 paths, and maybe only one leads to the truth. Over the years, countless ideas have surfaced. Rumors, suspects, speculation, but again and again, 3 major theories return, and each one raises terrifying questions. Theory 1. She ran into the wilderness. This is the official explanation many have considered. After the crash, Maura may have panicked. Maybe she feared police, maybe she didn't want another accident on her records, maybe she had been drinking, maybe she was disoriented, so she ran into the darkness, into freezing wilderness, and died in the cold. It sounds possible, even simple, but critics ask, if that happened, where is she? Why no remains after years of search? Why no clothing, no bones, no trace? How does someone disappear into snow-covered woods and leave almost nothing behind? That's where this theory begins to trouble people, because it explains some things, but not everything. Theory 2. She accepted the ride. This is the theory many believe, and maybe the darkest. Picture it, a quiet rural road, night falling, a young woman alone after a crash, cold, vulnerable, maybe desperate to leave before police arrive. Then headlights approach, a car slows, someone offers help, just one decision, one wrong person, and she gets in. If that happened, it could explain so much. Why no footprints? Why the scent may have ended at that road? Why she was never found? And why the disappearance feels less like an accident and more like an encounter? Because predators do not always look dangerous. Sometimes they look helpful. And if a stranger stopped at night, there may have been no second chance, no witness, no evidence, just a passing car disappearing into darkness, and Maura with it. It is terrifying because it feels possible, maybe too possible. Theory 3. She chose to vanish. Then there is the theory that refused to die. What if Maura planned all of it? The emails, the trip north, the secrecy. What if she wanted to disappear, start over, leave everything behind, a self-made vanishing, a new life? Some believe she was escaping pressure or emotional turmoil or something deeper. But there is a problem. Decades later, no verified sighting has proven she survived, no confirmed new identity, no hard evidence she began another life. And even her own family has rejected that theory, because walking away is one thing, staying invisible forever, that is something else, and that makes many doubt she chose this ending. So, which theory is true? Did she die in the wilderness? Did she enter a stranger's car? Did she vanish by choice? No one knows. And that uncertainty is exactly what keeps this case alive, because every theory explains something and leaves something else unanswered, and sometimes the truth hides in what none of the theory fully explain. Month later, a new detail surfaced. A witness said he had seen a young person moving quickly along Route 112 that same night, walking fast, eastbound, away from the crash scene. The person was reportedly wearing jeans, a dark coat, and a light-colored hood. And that mattered because Maura was last seen wearing a dark jacket and jeans early that day. The FBI says she was last seen on ATM footage wearing a dark jacket and jeans, and her car went off Route 112 in Harville that night. So the question becomes simple and terrifying. Was that Maura? If it was, then she did not vanish at the crash scene. She survived the crash, she left the road, she kept moving, and something happened after. But what? Did she walk until someone stopped? Did she hide from police? Did she become lost in the dark? Or did she meet someone who changed everything? That sighting splits the case open. Because if Maura was alive after the crash, then the crash was not the end. It was only the beginning. The real mystery may have happened farther down the road, past the lights, past the witnesses, past the place everyone kept searching. And that is what makes this case so painful. Because one small sighting reported later could change the entire timeline. It could mean Maura had a chance to survive. It could mean someone saw her last movement. And it could mean the answer was not inside the car, not in the snowbank, not in the crashed site, but somewhere deeper in the darkness of Route 112. Years passed, then more years, then decades, but Maura Murray's case never faded. Searches continued. Tips come in, theories grew. Some people focused on local suspects. Others questioned mistakes in the early investigation. Some believe Maura died in the wilderness. Others believe she was picked up by the wrong person. And some believe the truth had been sitting in plain sight the whole time. The case became bigger than one missing person file. It's become a national obsession. Podcasts cover it. Documentaries covered it. Online communities studied every minute, every call, every road, every witness. People looked at maps, timeline, weather, search areas, phone records, the black backpack, the rug in the tailpipe, the strange emails, the crash, the missing minutes, and still, the same question remained. How can a young woman disappear in minutes, with witnesses nearby, police on the way, and leave almost nothing behind? The New Hampshire Department of Justice still lists Maura Murray through its cold case unit, stating that her black Saturn was reported in a single car crash on Route 112 in Harvey Hill on February 9, 2004, and the FBI also lists her as missing, saying she was not at the crash scene when police arrived and has not been seen or heard from since. That is why this case never died, because it has no ending, no confession, no remains, no confirmed final sighting, no final answer for the family, only the road, only the car, only the silence. And every year that passes makes the mystery heavier, because someone may know something, someone may have seen something, someone may have held back one small detail that could finally explain what happened. But until that detail comes out, Maura Murray remains frozen in time. A young woman beside a crashed car, one moment there, the next moment gone. So what happened? That is the question. Did Maura panic after the crash, run into the cold woods, and never make it back? A theory explains why she left the scene, but it does not explain why no trace has ever been found. No clothing, no backpack, no confirmed remain, no final path. Did she accept a ride? A stranger pulls over, offers help. She gets in, and within seconds she's no longer a missing driver. She is someone else's hands. That theory explains the sudden disappearance. It explains why no clear footprints led into the woods. It explains why the scent trail reportedly stopped near the road. But it leaves one terrifying question. Who was driving? Or did Maura leave by choice? Was she trying to escape her life for a few days? Was she overwhelmed? Was the trip not her way of disappearing from everyone? That theory explains the secrecy, the false email, the packed car, but it fails against time, because more than 20 years later, there has been no verified proof that Maura Murray started a new life. No confirmed sighting, no message, no return. So the mystery circles back to the same small window, the missing minute between the crash and police arrival. Those minutes hold everything. They hold the decision, the movement, the encounter, the mistake, maybe even the crime. Because before those minutes, Maura was alive. After those minutes, she was gone. And that is why people cannot let this case go. Because the answer may not be complicated. It may be painfully simple. One road, one crash, one passing car, one choice, and then silence. On a winter night in New Hampshire, a car was found, but the driver was not. The Saturn stayed behind. The belongings stayed behind. The questions stayed behind. But Maura Murray disappeared. And for more than 20 years, Route 112 has kept its secrets. People still talk about that bend in the road. They still slow down when they pass it. They still looked into the trees. They still wonder how far she got. Whatever she was scared, whatever someone stopped, whatever she saw help or danger or something in all of it. There is a truth, maybe buried in the woods, maybe hidden in someone's memory, maybe carried for years by someone who never spoke. Because Maura did not vanish from a city street. She vanished from a quiet road in a tiny window of time, while help was already on the way. That is what makes this case unforgettable. They found the car, they found the crash scene, they found the questions, but they never found Maura. And maybe the most haunting part is this. Someone may know why. What do you think happened to Maura? Did she run into the wilderness? Did she accept a ride from the wrong person? Or did something happen on that road that investigators still have not uncovered? Write your theory in the comments and subscribe for more real unsolved mysteries told step by step. Because some mysteries do not fade, they wait. Thank you.